Watch on Spotify. Spotify subscribers get fewer ads on my video. The story that you told me once when we were chatting about
Oh, dear.
which I found fascinating.
Oh, no.
It's not a bad one.
Oh, no.
Now, but I am, of course, so curious what you were horrified that I was going to bring up.
Oh, no. I told Lena and Jenny Connor a story about when I was 25 that I had dated Anderson Cooper. And I told them about the experience and what that was like. And then it became the story that Elijah had in the series.
It also explains your reaction before we started recording when I said I might go all gray like Anderson Cooper, and you sort of like had like a star. Hello, and welcome to another episode of Obsessed, the podcast. I'm Kevin Fallon, here to guide you through all the TV shows, movies, and pop culture nonsense that we think is unmissable. And today's guest is Andrew Rannells, one of my favorite actors. You might know him from originating the role of Elder Price in the Book of Mormon, or starring as Elijah, Lena Dunham's gay best friend in Girls. He's been in so many TV shows, so many shows on Broadway, so many movies. The Boys in the Band, Falsettos, The Intern, and Their Simple Favor. And now he's starring in a new HBO movie called Miss You, Love You with Allison Janney, and it is so good. I have interviewed Andrew many times over the years, and he is great at telling stories, and he's also so tall and so handsome. But now, let's get to the stories. Here it is, my interview with Andrew Rannells. Hello, Andrew Rannells.
Hello, Kevin.
It's always good to see you.
It's great to see you. I feel like you did one of my very first interviews.
Yes.
When I was doing the Book of Mormon.
It was actually, the first time I met you was during Girls.
Same time.
Yeah. It was one of my first big interviews, too.
And here we are.
Here we are.
Look at us now.
Look at us now. You are starring in the HBO movie Miss You, Love You.
Miss You, Love You, with the amazing Allison Janney, written by Jim Rash.
Jim Rash, who is an Oscar winner for The Descendants.
As is Allison Janney.
Oh, yeah.
An Oscar winner for I, Tonya.
By virtue of the fact.
I'm the only one who doesn't have one.
Well, I think just by osmosis, you...
Do I get one?
I think so.
Oh, well,
I think I'm pretty sure that's how it works in Hollywood.
Oh, great.
Yes.
Okay. Well, it's an honor.
Yeah. Well, for anyone who has watched The Descendants, it should be no surprise that this movie is heartbreaking and witty, very emotional and sad, but also optimistic, and again, very, very funny. Can you tell us a little bit about what it's about?
Well, Jim wrote this beautiful script about people who want to be very independent and want to just sort of like go on it alone. And they find very quickly it's better to share your pain and your grief with someone else.
Yeah.
And when I read the script, and I think Allison feels the same, like we both sort of recognized I do that too. I feel like it's easier to not share with people. It's easier to say, I don't want to bother anybody with this, but it does make it easier when you say, I'm struggling or I'm having a hard time. And these two characters find themselves in a very odd situation.
Very odd.
And they figure out it's better to share a little bit.
Yes. So you play the assistant of a writer.
Yes.
Whose stepfather dies, the husband of Allison Janney's character. And instead of going to help with all the arrangements himself, he sends you.
His assistant.
Yes. So now there's this odd couple living situation of this grieving widow and her son's assistant, who she's never met, at this most volatile, emotionally volatile time of her life.
Yeah. And here I come in and I'm just trying to be helpful. And unbeknownst to her, I have a very complicated relationship with her son. Mm-hmm. But again, it comes down to like these people who feel like they don't want to ask for help. They don't want to share anything. And yet they end up unloading on each other and sort of, helping each other through probably the most difficult time in both of their lives.
Yeah. And It's really cathartic. And again, I just want to stress how funny it is.
Well, it is funny.
Yeah.
It is sad. It's hard to sell a movie that is like, it's about grief, but it's funny.
But it's one of those things that, like, I find this so many times in my life that the saddest parts of my life, the toughest parts of my life are often
Yes.
the funniest.
Yes.
The craziest things happen. The stories that you tell 10 years later, like, would you believe that when all this was going on in my life, this nonsense came and bit me in the ass?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And my, like, you know, some of the like hardest laughs I've ever had were at my dad's funeral.
Yeah.
That's just the way it goes
Yeah.
sometimes.
Yeah. But the chorus of laughter I can still remember from my grandma's funeral.
Yeah.
Like, it makes me very happy. As much as thinking about that makes me so sad. I think that's just part of life that this film encapsulates so beautifully.
Well, Jim is such an incredible writer and storyteller, and he, you know, pieced this together, some of it from his own life and some of it from, you know, just his experience. But man, oh man, like he really did encapsulate like how difficult it is to share grief.
Yeah. And whenever I'm watching something I'm going to cover, I'm always typing down my crazy notes about it.
Wait, did you actually watch it?
Is that a rare thing?
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
A lot of people don't watch the
I'm
thing.
a real journalist. I watched the thing.
Well, some people don't watch the thing.
Well, I watched the thing, especially because it was a great thing.
How was I?
Well, here's what I was going to say. When I'm typing my notes, there are a few like big things that I put in all capital letters that I'm like, these are the things that I want to remember. I wrote most dramatic performance yet by Andrew Rannells.
Oh.
Best performance yet by Andrew Rannells. And Bonnie Hunt.
Bonnie Hunt. Bonnie.
The three most important things about this movie.
Bonnie Hunt. She's so great. So I've been a fan of Bonnie Hunt's for so long. And then here she arrives to do a very small part. We were very lucky to get her to
She doesn't act
do
often.
this. No. And we were talking one day as we were in Albuquerque. We were talking about like, we were all grocery shopping at the same Whole Foods. And I was like, it's weird that Whole Foods sells clothes,
I
right?
had no idea.
Right? They sell like clothes at Whole Foods. And a couple days later, Bonnie Hunt sent Allison Janney and I a picture of herself wearing an entire outfit from Whole Foods in an aisle of Whole Foods, which means she didn't pay for it. She just like put it all on and then posed for a picture. What a champ.
That's amazing. I've loved her forever. Anytime I get to see her on screen.
Oh my gosh.
I just
She's
scream, Bonnie Hunt!
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Let's face it, after a night out of drinks, it can be hard to bounce back, but that's where Z-Biotics pre-alcohol probiotic drink comes in. It's a genetically engineered probiotic invented by PhD scientists. Here's how it works. When you drink, alcohol gets converted into a toxic byproduct in the gut. It's a buildup of this byproduct, more than dehydration, that's to blame for rough days after drinking. Z-Biotics pre-alcohol probiotic drink produces an enzyme to break this byproduct down. Just make pre-alcohol your first drink of the night, drink responsibly, and you'll feel like yourself the next day. From the crack of the bat at the stadium to the start of wedding season and the roar of the engines in Indy, May is packed with back-to-back reasons to be out. Don't let a rough morning after keep you on the sidelines. Drink pre-alcohol to stay ahead of it and make the most of every Saturday this month. Go to zbiotics.com/OTP to learn more and get 15% off your first order when you use OTP at checkout. Z-Biotics is backed with 100% money-back guarantee, so if you're unsatisfied for any reasons, they'll refund your money. No questions asked. Remember to head to zbiotics.com/OTP and use the code OTP at checkout for 15% off. But I do want to go back to the other thing that I put in on a couple letters, which is most dramatic performance yet. Do you think this is probably, I mean, there are scenes in this where you and Allison Janney, again, Oscar-winning Allison Janney, are having these really heavy, almost like screaming matches with each other, sort of unfurling your darkest secrets, the things that you want to, like usually the things that we bottle inside, you sort of uncork it and let it fizz out like a champagne bottle.
Well, that was all Jim's writing. And as Allison and I were preparing for it, we said to ourselves, like, there's only one way to do this, which is to memorize it like a play and just memorize the entire thing so then we can sort of forget about it. So we did. We memorized the entire script. And then when we came to set, we could actually like really dive into the intricacies of like what was happening. Because a lot of times, and I was surprised to hear Allison say this, that like, I mean, for myself, I've been a part of like mostly ensemble stuff, right?
Yeah.
I've never been the lead of anything, and she felt the same way.
Yeah.
So we were both entrusted with this huge story, and we were, faced with how do we do this? What's the best way to do this? So we felt like we should just learn it like a play and then do it that way.
Mm-hmm.
And so we could do whole stretches of dialogue, pages and pages. We could do it one time. And it really freed us up to find a lot of things that maybe we wouldn't have if we were like grappling with, how do we do this? And, what's my next line? We just rehearsed it like a play.
Mm-hmm.
'Cause we're both sort of theater nerds at heart. So that's what we did.
Yeah, well, it worked out.
Well, thanks.
This is also a film where you, serving body, shirtless, chase Allison Janney through the
don't say
desert
serving body.
while she's tossing chicken wings. Which
Yes.
I think like chasing Allison Janney while shirtless is probably one of the most gay things a person could be doing.
Well, that's true. Yeah.
I mean, that must have been sort of like a surreal moment.
In other times, I would have thought about the shirtless part a little more specifically. With this one, I felt like this is a character who is probably not so concerned about the shirtless part, right? So, like, when I was on Girls, and any time, and it was often, it would say, like, he's in his underwear, or he's shirtless. I would, like, not drink water, or, try my best.
Do crunches before the first take.
But with this one, I was like, well, he's probably not, like, that concerned about that
He's
stuff.
still doing pretty well for himself.
Well, thanks. But, well, that's also like what's so great about what Jim wrote is like he knows just when there needs to be a break from the tension. So Allison and I spent a lot of time in this house talking about grief and what we're dealing with or what we're not dealing with. But Jim always knew when it was time to have a joke and have like something breakthrough, a Bonnie Hunt, a chicken bone, like whatever it was, like he knew just when to do it.
Yeah. I was watching this movie and thinking about how amazing that scene was, and thinking about how I've loved Allison Janney for so long, and now she's pretty much become a gay icon.
Yeah.
To a lot of, at least people my age.
Yeah.
Like, when do you think that started? Like, when we started to become
The gay icon.
so obsessed with her. It's like, was it Drop Dead Gorgeous?
Well, that's a good one. I don't know. I feel like as a gay, I like people, and sometimes often women, who just are working hard and at the top of their level, but maybe not always acknowledged, right?
Yeah.
So Allison was a person that like I think I saw and I was like, she's brilliant, but maybe not everyone else collectively saw it at the same time. And then she won an Oscar.
Yeah.
And then she won 97 Emmy Awards.
So many Emmy Awards.
Like she has so many Emmy Awards.
98, that becoming
7.
There was 1 year where she
Maybe that's not right.
I think
she won 2 in 1
year. Yeah, for Masters of Sex and Mom.
Yeah,
it's a lot. Yeah, she won a ton for The West Wing.
Yes.
Then several for Mom, and then for Masters of Sex.
Yeah.
She'll be nominated for this again, I'm sure.
Let's hope so.
She's so good in that.
She should.
You both are so good in that.
All of the things. Yeah. But not that she was never like an underdog. Like that's not, she was always celebrated. But I feel like it sometimes takes like a little extra, I don't know, the gays just saw her as something special.
She has like a little bit of like a broad energy.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah. A mame energy.
Yes, exactly.
It's like a mame energy.
Oh my gosh, her doing Mame would be fantastic.
Oh my God. If Allison did MAME, it'd be a dream.
Yeah. She has a monologue in this that I started weeping during, where she
Coming out.
coming out monologue.
Yeah.
She talks about how she was
Yeah.
so there for her son.
Yeah.
And
It's
how
the most ideal coming out story, right?
she talks about how like she knew that he was gay and she could sense so many different times where he was about to say it and didn't, and how I think she put it like, I was leaving the door open and I was sitting there waiting, and finally there was a moment where she could tell it was happening again, and she says, I looked at him and I said, I love you, and then he walked through the door and finally did it. It's beautiful monologue.
That's Jim Rash.
I mean,
That's Jim Rash.
I could see the tears in your eyes as she was performing that. I can imagine her performing that to me. You got to experience
Well,
that.
Jim, I mean, the fact that Jim wrote that from a mother's perspective in a way that is so accepting and specific and sort of what we all wish we had, right?
Mhm.
And I was very lucky with my coming out. I don't know about you,
Yeah, very
but
lucky.
like I was very lucky. But Jim wrote that in such a way that I was like, that's the dream for everyone.
Yeah.
And of course, she delivered it.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to go into that pantheon of the Love Simon, You Can Breathe Now Simon.
I hope
like,
so.
That kind of
hope
thing,
so.
I think.
Yeah,
It's that beautiful.
yeah, I hope so.
Whenever I see Allison on screen, I think about the first time that I became obsessed with her, way before I had seen Drop Dead Gorgeous, which was when I was in middle school. We would, as a family, watch The West Wing together. And she had,
In middle school, you would watch The West Wing together.
I mean, I'm a serious person. Yeah, other kids were like having fun, and I was rushing home to watch The West Wing with my parents.
Got it.
But there's a scene where she performs like this song cabaret thing called The Jackal. She like sings a song called The Jackal, and it was born out of her apparently singing in the trailer a lot, and the writers heard that and wrote her a scene where she's sort of like literally performing as a bit this cabaret thing.
I should know this.
So I was going to ask you like if there was any singing around with her on set, and then I watched the movie, and you two have one of the most unique musical numbers that I've seen in a film.
Yeah, we do. I would love to do a musical with Allison.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be incredible. Could I be Vera if she was Mame?
I mean, this is 2026.
Could we do it?
We're casting inclusive
maybe
in all
we
ways.
could.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, I remember seeing her in 9 to 5. She is like a musical theater now. So she can do the whole situation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You two singing.
She has all the tricks.
Yeah. You two singing together in this is
Well,
quite
don't.
heartbreaking. I'm not going to
Kevin,
spoil it. but
Don't,
it's-
like, no.
Yeah.
We don't oversell that. We don't have a musical number. We just, like, partially sing a song
Yeah.
together.
The part of this movie and sort of this idea of how a son deals with a parent's death had me thinking of one of my favorite talent of yours, which is your writing. You've written 2 books. You wrote an essay for the New York Times Modern Love column that then became a TV episode. And that column, if you don't mind talking about what that column was about, because I think it actually has a lot to sort of correspond
About
with.
grief and
Yeah.
yes. So the Modern Love column was about the night I found out my dad died. And I was having what I didn't know was, but would turn into a one-night stand.
Yes.
And this person, who I didn't really know very well, witnessed me receiving the information that my father was dead. So I wrote, a column about it for Modern Love, and then we got to turn it into an episode of the television show. And it's, it was a wildly personal story to share. What I was most surprised by once I shared it was how a lot of other people had similar stories. That kind of news obviously is never planned and hits people at really unexpected times. And I had several people come up to me and say, I was also in the same position.
I just had awkward sex and then found out something.
Or I was at a club.
Yeah.
I was making up with a random stranger, and then like someone, called me and told me the news. It was it was a wild realization that like even that, which felt so personal, somebody else had experienced. So I'm very happy that I got to share it, and shocked that other people had the same story.
Does doing something like this film, and given its themes, make you think about that time in your life?
Of course.
And does it make you think any differently about it, or resurface things that were surprising to you?
Yeah, of course. Like, you can only process grief in your own time. So it took me years to really let that sink in, that like my dad was gone and that's how it happened. And I think with these two characters, like they're both doing the same things. So Jamie, the character I play, both of his parents have died, and I think it's taken him a long time to process what that has meant for him. And Diane, who Allison Janney plays, is just realizing how impactful it is that her second husband has died. They're really the like love of her life. And so we're both sort of realizing it at the same time, even though it has happened years apart. And grief is not on a clock. It hits you in weird ways. I remember years after my dad died, I was in a grocery store and a song came on, like on the speakers of the grocery store. There was a song that he liked, and I burst into tears in a way that I couldn't quite explain. And a woman next to me said, "Are you okay?" But it was like 5 years later.
Yeah.
I couldn't explain it. I wouldn't be like, well, my dad died 5 years ago, but that was the truth. Like it just happened on its own time.
Yeah. Well, like you said, a lot of people responded to that.
Well,
So I'm grateful that you wrote it.
well, thank you.
I just finished Lena Dunham's book, Fame Set.
Oh, so good, right? What a brilliant writer.
She is so... I was the same age as her when she was doing Girls. So I'm the same age as her now when she's written this book.
Almost 40.
And looking back on it, almost 40, the scary thing. I was at the age of Lena doing Girls when I met you for the first time.
Yeah.
But what I found so fascinating about the book, because I'm going through the same thing that Lena is looking back at times in your life and realizing, oh, the good parts were actually even better than I thought they were at that time. And the shitty things were actually quite shittier than I gave them credit for. It was like it's such a fascinating thing to have the opportunity to look back at these milestones.
Yeah.
With that framework of time.
Yeah.
I was chatting with friends after I finished and was like, it's crazy. The way that we always do this, like, which Sex and the City character are you or which Golden Girls character are you? It's really hard to do the which girls character are you? And so I said, like, which one do you think I am? And they responded immediately, Hannah's dad. I was like...
Wait, they picked Hannah's dad?
I did not sign up to be roasted for this. I think they were being cheeky. But then they were...
Wait a second.
Yeah.
Are you friends with mostly women?
Yes.
Then fuck that. You need to become friends with more gay men.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They
Girls will not get it.
They did follow up with
Sorry.
Corey Stahl's character because
What
he's
the
a
hell?
journalist. I was like,
No.
I don't love
Kevin,
that one either.
No. The rules are you have to pick one of the four.
Right.
Not a guest star.
Yeah.
Give me your phone. I'll call your friends.
I think they were doing he's gay, so that's the character.
No, I don't like your.
I did not pick Elijah, which I found interesting.
Don't like your friends.
Yeah. But when they brought up the Corey Stahl thing, it did remind me of a story that you told me once when we were chatting about
Oh dear.
which I found fascinating.
Oh no.
It's not a bad one.
Oh no.
You had a sex scene with Corey Stahl, and you had to...
I thought you were going somewhere else.
Oh, well, now I want to know where you thought I was going.
Continue. A sex scene with Corey Stahl.
And you had to basically choreograph it yourself because so many people on set didn't know how gay sex worked.
No, this was before intimacy coordinators. So intimacy coordinators now are sort of, they're choreographers for scenes like that. At the time, we didn't have that. And no one on set, I was the only gay person on set. The only one.
Yeah.
And they were like, how do you want to do this? And I, you know, I thought cinematically, I was like, well, it would be easiest for us to converse while we're doing this scene if we were like missionary. And the director said, but gay people can't have missionary sex. And I was like,
Oh my God.
wait, what? And they didn't know.
Yeah.
And I was like, what are you talking about? So then I literally,
Blue minds that day.
Corey and I had to like demonstrate that I was like, this is how that works. And I could see the crew being like, that does make sense. And I was like, seriously? And everyone thought we just,
You're a pioneer in HBO.
I guess, just cried and did it Brokeback Mountain style. But like, no, I was like, we can do it face to face.
That's so funny. Now, but I am, of course, so curious what you were horrified that I was going to bring up.
Oh, no. No. I told Lena and Jenny Connor a story about when I was 25 that I had dated Anderson Cooper. And I told them about the experience and what that was like. And then it became the story that Elijah had in the series.
But also,
That's what I thought you were going to
it
ask.
also explains your reaction before we started recording when I said I might go all gray like Anderson Cooper, and you sort of like had like a star.
And it was a very brief relationship. But when I told them that, they were like, oh, that's a fun story.
Yeah. One of my favorite things that happens anytime Girls is in the news is that clips go viral again from the show. And
oh no,
your
what clip?
Your dad's gay.
Oh,
clip.
your dad's gay.
It's one of my might be my favorite scene in the show. It was your first day.
My first day. Yeah.
It's so good. It's so funny. Judd Apatow has since like sung its praises.
Oh.
That's such a good scene. Anytime it pops up in my timeline, I just watch it in full again and
Thank you.
cackle and chuckle. The way you play that scene is brilliant. I cannot believe that was your first day on set.
It was my first day, and there was not a lot of information given about what the show was. And Judd came up to me and he said, "Do you know who Peter Scolari is?" And I said, "Of course, I know who that is." And he said, "Can you come up with something that would be, hurtful to her or like get a dig in about Peter?" And I was like, okay. So we sort of played around with like a couple different ideas. And then in one take, I just started saying that he was gay. And I didn't know what Peter had done up to that point. He had only filmed one episode, I think. So I just sort of made it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There is this thing that happened after Famesick was published that a lot of publications sort of did like the who comes out the most unscathed in Lena Dunham's book thing, which was really gross, but without a doubt, it's you. She
really
sings your praises so highly. I mean, you read the book.
Here's what I'll say. I think I should have been mentioned more. And I told Lena that. I was with her at the Met Gala when she collapsed, and I said, "Why didn't you say that?" I was with her many times when she was telling stories, and I was like, where was my name? But I think I get one solid name check.
You do get
and it's
check.
very positive. So I can't complain about that.
I appreciate how good you are at navigating press minefields. Obviously everyone's going to ask you about the Adam Driver anecdotes, and you had like a really funny response. I think it was to Andy Cohen, where you're like, "Oh, I started a rumor at the book party."
Yeah, that Adam and I were fucking the entire time. Pick it up here. If anyone wants to pick that up and share it, I was fucking Adam Driver for the entire 6 years. Let's share that.
Yeah. I mean, that's the truth. It's as true as, but what else is true is that you didn't work with him that much.
That was an actual fact.
Yes.
Is that we had an affair. He loved me very much. And then I had to very gently let him down and say, like, it's not going to work out.
Yeah.
And I wish that more people talked about that.
Yes. It's
No one's talking
Yeah.
about it.
You had an affair. You didn't work with him that much. It's all
I
true.
wouldn't even say an affair. I would say it was a relationship.
Yeah, full-blown relationship.
Yeah, like full-blown love affair.
Yeah.
But no one wants to talk about that. But, I keep trying.
But I do want to know what is it like to be doing press when there is other things going on that people are going to ask you about. I know it happened also with A Simple Favor 2, and you gave a great quote when someone asked you if the Blake Lively stuff was distracting. You said the only thing that was distracting was the only thing
shopping?
Yeah, it only distracted me from Allison and shopping. Yeah.
Well, that is actually true. Maybe I'm selfish, or maybe I'm self-centered. Adam and Blake Lively, like, I don't know. Like, I didn't really have that much interaction
Yeah.
with them. So I don't really think about it that much.
Yeah.
Maybe that's a bad thing to say.
No, but it's a
I was so focused on, like, what was happening with me. That's such a terrible thing to say, but it actually is true.
But it's also a great way to react to sort of the gotcha questions that are going to happen inevitably during these situations.
I don't know.
I appreciate.
Well, it doesn't seem that gotcha. I don't know. Like, Adam, I don't know. Like, he was off doing, like, a million other things, and we didn't really have that many scenes together. So he's always been really great with me. But I don't know. I think we had, in the whole season, all of the seasons of Girls, maybe we had 2 scenes together.
Which is
It's not like doing a play where, like, you're backstage together. It's like you just don't see each other.
Yeah. Well, all your time was spent off screen in your relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not much.
One of our staff favorite things that you've done is Big Mouth.
Oh.
Which one of the things I wanted to ask you about, because it's one of my favorite sort of like origin story facts.
Oh God.
Is apparently you developed the voice based on a young
Kim Cattrall
in Sex and the City.
That is correct.
How did you have that divine inspiration?
Nick Kroll asked me if I would come on his TV show, and this animated show, and he was like, "You're gonna be a gay bully," and I was like, "What does a gay bully sound like?" Kim Cattrall. So I was like, "What would?"
That was your first instinct.
Yeah, I was like, "What would, like, a child Kim Cattrall sound like?" And that's what I did. And no, I didn't tell him. I didn't tell anyone.
Yeah.
That's what I was doing. I just decided. And no one gave me any notes, and Nick was happy with it.
Perfect character choice.
Thanks.
Yeah. As I learned when I was greeting you in the lobby today, another staff favorite performance of yours is in the Book of Mormon.
I know.
Our security guard.
Love the Book of Mormon.
Known for 15 years, he's never shown any interest in any, but he was so excited to see you.
You never know. You never know.
One of the things that was also brought up from our staff was this story that I think Gavin Creel told, that during the sort of workshopping of the Book of Mormon, you kept raising the keys higher and higher. And I'm pretty sure Gavin was joking when he said that it was in order to not be replaceable in the show.
No, that is correct.
Yeah.
When I was doing the Book of Mormon, they had replaced every other actor before me who was playing that part. So I came in, and they were writing new music, and I thought, how can I really lock myself into the show? And it was to make it sit in exactly where I'm comfortable singing, which is pretty high.
Yeah.
So I changed all of the keys to be as high as possible.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And now you're like a generation's, I believe, is like what corner of the sky was to my
That's
generation.
the nicest thing you could have ever said to me.
Also the like Broadway gayest thing I probably could have ever said to you.
I mean, that's so kind.
Yes.
That is so kind of you to say. It's a song. If you're a tenor and you're looking to stretch a little bit, it's a good song to work on.
You're putting casting directors through a lot, having to listen to a lot of attempts at that, but
You know what? They can deal with it.
can deal with it.
It's fine.
Well, listen, I could go role by role with you for the next 5 hours because I love you so much.
I'm ready to do it.
But I
Can we
think
get a snack?
I think we have to let you go. But I just want to make sure everyone watches Miss You Love You because it is so, so good. Andrew, you're so good in it.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you. It's it's my, I gotta say, my favorite thing I've ever gotten to do.
Wow.
It really is, because I've been very lucky that I've gotten to make a career of being sort of a sassy gay friend. But sometimes I want to be a sad gay friend.
The full spectrum. we contain multitudes.
So can I
Yeah.
sometimes be the sad gay friend?
I think you made a good case for it with this movie.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Andrew.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Andrew. That was so much fun. I always love chatting with you. And of course, I want to hear from you. Let us know what you think. What is your favorite Andrew Rannells performance? And why is he the best character in Girls? Let us know. And as always, subscribe to us on YouTube at The Obsessed channel. Follow us wherever you get your podcasts. And if you like me, please subscribe to my Substack at obsessed.substack.com. Thank you to our producers, Rachel, Ryan, and John, and I'll see you next time.